Welcome to the Nitpicking Nerds. Today, we got a list of cards that no one wants to see across the table from them.
Because they're virtually banned in Commander.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. If you want to support the channel for free, buy some cards for full price, and then we get supported for free. It's a pretty good deal.
And you want to support us because we're doing daily content. Daily. That means we're putting out a video every single day. It'll be a year in February. That's insane to me. Also, we have a 50K celebration coming up. If you want to help us celebrate, P.O. Box in the description below. Send us whatever silly, funny, goofy, fun thing you want. And as long as it's PG and good for the channel, then we'll open it and you can see it on camera.
But we have a list of the least fun, most salty, most virtually banned, pseudo-banned cards in the entire format. These are cards you're really not going to see, despite the fact that they're 100% legal, because no one likes them.
On top of that, something that this list is doing a little differently than just listing like the saltiest cards is all these cards are good, very strong cards that belong if the format, if there was no salt, if players played with no emotion, and if EDH was just a game where you were hyper focused on winning, these cards would see a lot more play because they're very strong. This first category has a million cards underneath it, and it's mass land destruction. This is something that has actively been spoken out against by the Rules Committee, but there's not very much banned from it. Cards like Armageddon Ravages War, these cards are incredible. The strength of these cards is super high, but you're not going to see it when you sit down at the table usually.
Spoiler alert, there's some of the best things you can do in the entire format, especially some of the cards that, like, you have a catastrophe that destroys all lands or all creatures. Like, well, if you're ahead, blow up all lands and you win. If you're behind, blow up all creatures and then play catch up. Like, these cards are really good, but you're just never going to see them.
Yeah, there's also things like Cataclysm, which you build. You have your Voltron threat, your thing that's just suited up. You keep one of the equipments on it, you keep one of the auras on it, and then you keep the creature itself, and everyone's down to one land. Now your creature is just going to run away with this game, just pounding in every turn.
You don't even need a creature. You just play a mana rock, and then you play Cataclysm on, like, turn 3, and nobody has anything except you now.
Yeah, these cards are very good, and there's a million of them. I want a quick shout-out to Wildfire, which was recently unbanned. You're not going to see this. This is going to be one of those pseudo-banned cards that you just won't see often because it's not a very fun card, and people don't have fun playing against it. But there's literally, I'm going to list off, I think this is 10. There are probably 30 to 40 cards in this mass land destruction list that people just don't play. There's Decree of Annihilation, Yockelhops, Sunder, Devastation, Apocalypse, Epicenter, Global Ruin, Impending Disaster, Ruination, and that's not even including the specific ones that people really hate, like the ones that destroy Forest, Acid Rain, and Boil, which people also hate.
They also forgot Obliterate, and there's Wildfire, is it? The everybody sacrifices 4 lands, burning of Jingyi, I think.
I didn't forget them. There's just so many of them. This is one of the most hated things to Commander, and it's become almost taboo that if you're not playing a high power game, somewhere around an 8 or a 9 power level, that you should not be bringing these out. That these should not be at your average table. That's expected nowadays, and I don't even hate it because honestly, what they do is prevent people from playing the game. They end up wiping lands away. No one can cast spells. No one's playing Magic, and then the player who's ahead on board usually wins.
Well, when everybody sits down to play a game of Commander, there's an unspoken or sometimes spoken agreement of we all value each other's time. We want everyone's deck to play. Everyone should be participating in this game, and everybody should be trying to have fun. None of these cards come even close to that. In most cases, obviously, talk to your playgroup. You're all cool with it. Then there's no issue. But most playgroups have some issue with this, or just don't even feel like doing it because it's not fun to them.
Yeah. Also interesting. The little description you just gave pretty much just sums up this whole list in some way or another. Some are more extreme, like obviously mass land destruction is the most hated thing in Commander. Probably. I don't know if that's 100% true, but it certainly feels that way. Especially when you're having a discussion. Like if you ask people what they don't want to see at a table, it would be mass land destruction because no one's gonna enjoy that, but most players don't enjoy that.
In a lot of cases, showing up and slamming Worldfire on turn 5 is a little bit of a disrespectful move when you all agree that you want to sit down and play your decks and have fun like that. If you don't value their time where you go, all right, turn 4, start the game over, like, people can get irritated by that. And I think it's fair in most cases.
Well, the second category fits right in with the first category, where it's not land destruction, but it's rather ways to make their lands not work, not do something. something along those lines. It's land hate of some kind. You have Back to Basics, Blood Moon, and Contamination, which all make lands either two of them make them tap for not the right thing, or Back to Basics just makes them not untap, period.
Yeah, with Back to Basics and the next couple, Winter Orbs, Static Orbs, and Stasis, they're just land destruction. You're never going to untap your lands. They're basically gone. I would almost just put them in land destruction, but it doesn't destroy your lands. It just ruins them until this is gone.
Yeah, actually, that's also Rising Waters and Mana Breach.
Perfect.
These are all cards that just don't let you untap lands, basically at all, with very little. It slows the game down to this glacial pace of nobody doing anything, and it's just not fun for anybody because no one's playing. Now, I want to just reiterate, these cards are very, very good. They're all great cards, and the only reason you're not seeing them is because they're going to cause players to get annoyed, salty, and not have fun.
Well, so the Commander Rules Committee has a rough outline and a few statements about what they want the format to be. What do they want this format to be? These cards go against every single point of it, and they don't ban them all. They ban a couple and then say, hey, here's some of the things you should look out for. And most people pick up on that and basically just take one step further than the Rules Committee is going and just ban them all and just don't bother playing them.
Actually, an interesting thing, Sheldon Menery mentioned specifically liking Back to Basics and Blood Moon for having non-basic land hate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
No comment.
Yeah, if you just, I don't like that because like a player wants to play a 3-4 color deck. Obviously, they don't have a ton of basics. Why should they get punished for wanting to play more colors?
What's the difference between saying that, Static Orb punishes ramp decks and Blood Moon punishes 5-color decks? Like neither of them get to play.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think any of these cards are very fun, and I think Back to Basics and Blood Moon aren't as defensible as they might come off as because they only hit non-basics. I don't know why I quoted that.
So-called alleged non-basics. This next category is stacks. These cards are all starting to blend together, but we got Sphere of Resistance and Thorn of Amethyst. They're going to make all spells cost more, and that's going to lead to, real quick, games not being played or being played slower. Yeah,
these cards are very good. You really put them in your deck where you're only going to be casting 1 or 2 spells a turn, or you're playing, not a lot of spells, and then you're not taxing yourself a ton because you're only going to be casting 1, 2 spells. As someone who's trying to storm off, they can't do that. Not when everything costs 1 more. And this is going to lead to playing less spells, playing less magic. These cards are not hated as much, but they're definitely up there.
These ones aren't so bad when there's just one of them, but then obviously when you start piling on 3, 4, 5, the game becomes literally unplayable. Like you have to draw your card. Maybe not even then. You don't untap. You have nothing to do on your upkeep. You sometimes don't draw with all these cards out, and then you pass the turn. Like, what is that? That's not Magic.
Yeah, 2 commanders specifically that are real salt-inducing, especially depending on what deck you brought out. Gadok Teeg and Grand Arbiter Augustin the Fourth.
Yeah.
Both of them just oh no, I never want to sit down across from them. They're both signs of stacks or hate bears decks, and on top of that, they can sometimes Gadok Teeg can shut out half of a deck depending on what the deck is trying to do.
Yeah, you had a Gadok Teeg deck, and I thought it was cool, and it was a normal deck. I don't think Gadok Teeg is broken, but he breaks the sort of understanded mutual wanting of everyone to play the game, and some people just can't function. You played it, and my deck was all right, let's shuts off a few cards, and everybody else was I can't do anything. I quit.
Yeah,
they quit.
I've had players scoop out of games just because he's I have 4 cards, man, I can't cast. I'm just gonna scoop. It's that's fair.
The cards that lead to, okay, untap, draw, 8 cards in my hand. I don't want to play this game. That card's got to be pretty annoying.
Yeah. Also, humility. I think this is another Staxy type piece where it's just all creatures don't do anything. They're all worthless. They all slam into each other and die. And yeah, because of that nobody wants to see humility across from. This card is so good.
The only way to stop this card, I think, aside from a Nature's Claim, is specifically some kind of overrun effect where you just kill the person with humility because your creatures are 4/4s now instead of 1/1s. That's how you do it. Or you find your Nature's Claim, but a creature deck is just sunk. You're done.
Yeah,
You're crumpled.
Exactly. In Oppression, another one I just wanted to bring up. I found it was on the salty list, and I'd never really talk about this card or think about it too much, but it is miserable.
Is this the discard card?
Whenever somebody casts a spell, they have to discard a card.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's a miserable effect. How?
I think Painful Quandary is annoying. I don't think that card's that good, but it is annoying if it resolves, and that gives you a choice, and it's 5 mana. Yeah. And this is just nope, no hand.
This card hits you, but in exchange, it's only 3 mana.
And you control when it comes.
And you get to put it down on the battlefield. And it's every spell, no choice, you discard.
Super brutal. How about this next category, which does not blend together because it's very specific?
Yes, this is more of a monopoly. It's because it monopolizes time. It's extra turns. So in a game of Commander, extra turn spells are incredibly powerful because you have to wait for 3 other players to play before you get a turn. So if you can skip any point to get extra turns, it's super powerful. I think you can look at not every single one, specifically ones that can be repeated or ones that, like this first one, that are just insane. Expropriate, they don't see as much play because nobody wants to sit through extra turns, especially if you do 2 or 3 in a row. And when you have Time Warp, which is the same exact card as Capture of Jingzhao and Temporal Manipulation, these are repeatable. You add an Eternal Witness, now all of a sudden you're taking 3 turns in a row. Who wants to sit there while you take 3 turns?
One of the problems is you go in assuming everybody's going to get roughly the same amount of time. So whether you have extra turn spells or not, somebody who's taking up, let's say, they take up half the game time, that's slightly disrespectful to the other players. They're not playing Magic as much as you are. Obviously, we can't get to perfect 25s. But as long as everyone's moving at a brisk pace and making things happen, that's fine. But if your deck is going to take 7 extra turns in a row, and it's going to take 10 minutes for you to win, most people shy away from those strategies. I mean, I'm to the point where if you resolve Expropriate with a half-decent board or you resolve Time Stretch, I'm just going to concede. It's not like I'm not playing the game. It's so much better for me knowing that you're 99% to win to just call it.
Yeah, these take up a lot of time. This goes for gold fishing decks, but those aren't specific cards to call out. But yeah, extra turns just make you monopolize everybody's time. You are spending way more time doing your stuff, playing the game, resolving spells than everybody else. And is this inherently a problem? No. If your playgroup's fine with it, obviously all these cards are fine, just like anything on this list.
Yeah.
But it is definitely going to be rough when you're like, oh my God, he's taking. This is a 10-minute turn. I'm going to play Swamp and pass when my turn comes around.
I have a deck that actually does want to monopolize with Time Walks and just try to win off casting the last extra turn on the next page here. Nexus of Fate. What a stupid Magic card. It's a Time Walk and a win condition all together. But that deck just wants to cast Nexus of Fate over and over. Like, how often do I play it? Like 1% of the time, because I know that's not a deck I can bring out or even want to bring out every other game.
This last thing is kind of just a miss category. I didn't know what else to put it. It's
miscellaneous.
Yeah, there's miscellaneous cards. There's 2 of them that are controlling your opponent's turns. It's Emrakul the Promised Land and Mindslaver. The percentage of decks Emrakul the Promised Land is insanely low. This card is so good. It can be the top end of almost any Commander deck and be fine. And it's not very many decks because nobody wants to play against it. Same with Mindslaver. Mindslaver usually want to have the loops to really win the game.
But it can't be worse. It can be more backbreaking.
These are like in no decks at all.
Right. I mean, that speaks a lot to what players are looking for in Commander and what kind of loosely what the rules committee wants, because what they want is kind of influencing the bans, and then what we want is the pseudo bans. And it feels like most of these cards could be banned, and you wouldn't notice almost any difference in your play group. This last one, it's definitely like, if it was in its own category, it would just be lame, played out. I've seen it, and there's a couple more in that category, but Thassa's Oracle, I get it. I know that you're, like, not even CDH aside, there's the 2-card combo that wins the game. That's fine, but that's for higher powered metas. Even in your, like, Simic, just, like, spin your wheels, draw cards deck, like, I get it. You're going to play Thassa's Oracle, your devotion is, like, 6, and you're going to win the game. I don't know. This is just a very uninteresting one to me. Yeah. Less salt and more apathy-inducing.
I do think that Thassa's Oracle sees a lot less play because in situations with combos for any casual meta, nobody is you're not putting Demonic Consultation, Thassa's Oracle in your casual deck. Nobody is going to do that if they want to play out a game, because that's going to be miserable for anybody who is expecting to, like, oh, this is going to be a fun game. Oh, he turn 3 killed us. That was really
turn 7 he played Leveler and then Thassa's Oracle. Or he Tooth and Nailed for a Leveler and Thassa's Oracle or something.
Well, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, these cards are, but again, Thassa's Oracle, it's in 13% of blue decks, which, makes sense. It is very powerful. But I think the combos specifically is what's, like, soft banned in a lot of metas. I don't see Thassa's Oracle with combos ever when I play. And I think it's purely because of how taboo, unfun, and just not liked it is.
It's definitely one of the most hated cards in the whole format.
Yeah,
for sure. Like, maybe more than almost everything else on this list.
Yeah, I don't know how this card isn't banned. Like 100%, I do not understand how this card isn't banned.
What, Thassa's Oracle?
Yeah,
Just because it's so easy?
it's the most miserable, unfun, simple win the game I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's maybe more so than Labman or anything like that.
I mean, Labman has to stay on the field.
Well, you have to draw.
There's
But it's
you
like-
have to draw. It has to stay on the field.
Yeah, you're right.
Same thing with Jason. This thing, if it hits the field and there's no cards in your deck, you win unless
Yeah,
they
the-
shuffle stuff in.
It's like a sorcery. The creature doesn't matter.
It's real dumb. I hate this card so much. But that is our video on pseudo-banned, unfun things that people don't like. It's kind of a mixture of all that. Like, it's just things that people genuinely don't like to play against overall.
Things you're not going to see, even though they're legal.
Though all these cards should be in more decks, if not for the fact that they were hated so much.
Right, the social contract and whatnot. If you want to support the channel and hear more about salty cards, go to the TCG Player link in the description, click the buttons, and then buy the cards. And when you buy the cards, some of that money comes back to us and helps us live a dream. And I will recommend another video that we made. If you're looking for what cards we personally find the most salty, I'm going to link it in the description, and maybe it'll be in a card here. That was a fun video.
Why, in God's name, did we just not? You just did this, everything out of order. Special shout-outs to all of our patrons. The reason we do this first is because this card takes like 2 minutes to scroll.
Yeah, you do that. I'm going to call that on you. You said that's the video.
That's the video. And
You didn't say special shout-outs.
because I was finishing up the video with a couple of notes. Sorry. But yeah, special shout-outs to all of our patrons. Love you as much as you can without making you uncomfortable.
I already mentioned the link. There's also the 50K celebration P.O. Box unboxing. Send us something if you want. As long as it's PG, we're going to open it. And we have Discord. Come hang out, play Commander games, DM us, ask for deck help, whatever you want. It's going to be great. Great community in there.
It really is going to be real awesome. If you want to become a patron, you can head over to patreon.com. You can have your name scroll on this cool card here.
It's cool. Made it myself. Tippett?
Don't say you made it yourself. The scrolling is literally all me. I did that.
The card is 100% me.
The card is your design.
Yes.
I had to do the scrolling and creating
It's
that.
my design. I submitted it to R&D.
Yeah.
How a generous patron. It really helped my YouTube channel.
Yeah, it has, with scrolling text. I like the idea of a scrolling text.
Yeah, absolutely. Tidbit about our lives. Is it my turn?
Now it's my turn.
Cool.
And I already know what I'm going to do.
Boom.
It's
I wonder.
It's really easy. Yesterday I went to AEW Dynamite. They also record Rampage after, so I won't spoil anything from Rampage because it literally won't even have aired by the time our video comes out. I love wrestling, and it was super fun. The whole thing was The whole event was dedicated to Brody Lee, who is a wrestler from Rochester, which is where the event was. I had to drive an hour and a half all the way to Rochester just to watch the event. The chants for Brody were insane, and they had his kid there. It was super cute. The whole event was really awesome and super fun. BZ?
Yes.
You're still there?
Wrestling.
I love wrestling. I really do. My voice, actually, that's why my voice isn't great today. You can probably definitely hear that it's shot. I was yelling a lot. You're just going to sit there like a robot.
Wrestling.
But you've watched wrestling.
I do sometimes enjoy a good wrestle.
A good wrestle. Well, that is that. Peace out, Tribe Scout.